I heard about NBC through a, a documentary. How do so many people living together in this little village, all together, like maybe 100 people, get along and resolve differences? And so she said, well, we have a number of people in this village that have studied nonviolent communication. And that just really caught my ear.
I've heard other people mention it and talk about it at various points in my life, and it really has come into focus in the last year. I've started studying to become a coach or counselor, and it was one of the books recommended reading.
So I actually read the book over a decade ago, and it really, something in it just spoke so much truth to me on a body level, on a somatic level.
I often was judging when I was listening, and I found it so liberating to not be doing that. But if I was doing that judging, I would have missed a lot. I would have missed a lot. I had a experience this morning with someone that I've known for a very long time. He was really upset, and at first I was sort of almost inching away from the phone because it was so loud and so much anger. And then I went, oh, he's venting. He needs to vent. That's what's going on here. So instead of like, hey, hold on, don't, no, wait, I just said, uh-huh, yeah. Well, that would make, I understand. You're very angry. I hear it. And it was a whole different way of listening. And at the end, he I didn't really try to fill it up with anything. I just said, I'm really sorry that that happened, but I don't know what I can do about it. And he just said, well, I think I just feel better. I got it off my chest. And that is empathic listening.
It feels very much like you're paying your full attention to the task of listening. I'll explain. So when you communicate normally in a spoken way, um, one person's speaking and the other person's listening. But quite often the listener will also be thinking, like, what do I say next? Or where's this conversation going? Or what am I going to say? Whereas when you're empathetic listening, it feels like, or the NBC approach is that your main job is just to listen.
And there's times when I've sort of been listening to somebody and I'll take notes sometimes and I'll have a feelings and needs list and I've just seen a word, a feeling that's jumped out or a need and I've said it and I've reflected it to the person and you can see their whole body language kind of changes and I can really sense there's a feeling of acknowledgement that they've been seen and that they've been heard just by me reflecting a simple word that is just it's opened up this catalyst of healing for them, not needing to fix, but just a few words that can be really, really powerful.
Most people are not good listeners. I find they're listening to try to, they might be trying to identify with you and say, yes, I understand. But a lot of times people think they're identifying, but what they're doing is just using it as an opportunity to talk about themselves. Yes, I had that happen too, and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, I'm sort of like listening to them.
The word that comes to mind is enriching. It's very healing as well to be listened to in non-violent communication way. I can really feel and sense that the other person is present and listening and they understand the importance and the power of listening without trying to fix, not making any um, confusion with empathy and sympathy. When someone understands NVC and is listening, in my experience, I feel safe. It feels like a safe environment. I feel heard. I feel acknowledged and I feel really valued as well for what I'm sharing. And in that safety, I'm more likely to open and be honest, and it really enriches the connection and deepens the connection as well with the other person.
When we did the exercise, I was just amazed at how wonderful it felt to have someone's complete attention and no agenda, nothing but an empathetic ear that I could really express myself and feel I was being heard. And that just made a big difference. Even sometimes they didn't say anything. They didn't even, it was just being heard is a gift in itself. It doesn't need anything else. And through that I was able to kind of work out some things that I hadn't heard myself say. And that helped me to sort of figure out the problem I was sharing about. So that was really that was very profound, actually.
To be listened to fully. So knowing that somebody is really there just to listen to you, it also changes the dynamic of communication, because you feel when you're speaking that you have the 100% attention of the person who's listening. But not only that, they're not trying to do something clever at the same time. They're not trying to solve your problems or think of an answer or think of something to say. They're just there to listen to you. I think that's a really useful part of all communication, to be able to experience it sometimes, that the person you're with is just listening to you, not doing anything else.
On a physiological level, I can sense a shift in my nervous system. My thought patterns change as well, and there's just this kind of frequently when I have empathy shares with somebody where someone's listen to me share something, I feel this softening inside, this relaxation of my body, and an optimism and hope.
When we practice in the course, it feels like it's a very simulated environment, it's a safe environment, but it's also, it feels a little bit of, we know what we're doing, we know what the task is. And in real life, outside of the course, we might start reflecting back and think to ourselves, this might be weird, or the person I'm talking to might find this strange. They don't find it strange. They just enjoy the fact that they were heard and acknowledged. What this provides, doing a course like this, is a safe space to experiment. So you can read the book and go out in the world and go, oh, I'm going to practice my needs and feelings. But if you don't have the practice, the practice ground, the playground, as it were, with people that are also trying to develop their communication skills, this creates a really safe space to practice.
There was a lot of structure. The different components of nonviolent communication were very clearly described, even throughout the slides and the visuals that we got sent. It was very easy to see the connection between things, and we built up each week, built on top of the last part of the teachings, which by the end just gave a whole foundation of NVC that anyone could put into practice.
I was really impressed with the level of emotional intelligence of everyone that participated. And also, it was fun for me to meet such a diverse group of people and really see how we had so much in common. I am going to follow up with it because I really enjoyed the class very much.